guys, so today I'm trying out a new thing because I'm getting really into like not the big beauty gurus but like the smaller beauty gurus who are making content that's just really chill to watch. So I've been more into that, and I don't know, I've just enjoyed a few of the videos that they've been putting out there. For example, I'm starting a project pan. Kind of. I'm not doing it as like dramatically as some people do it. Wish I had that form of dedication, but I just will not weigh my makeup and try to get it down to the gram. I also don't have like a proper professional like makeup scale that will do intervals that are really small, and with makeup use you don't really see like big drops in weight, so I just don't think it would be fun. So I'm just going to put it up to the screen or take pictures of it, and then we can compare pictures month to month of my makeup. I've been kind of subconsciously doing this anyway, just trying to get rid of makeup that is older, just use it up, you know, try and like get through it. So I'm going to show you guys what's on my list of makeup that I want to use up and see how quickly I can get through it. Instagram, Twitter, follow me on there. Main channel in description. Yeah, let's get into my project pan. So my first product that I really desperately want to use up is this First Aid Beauty Coconut Skin Smoothie Priming Moisturizer. This was originally 50 milliliters. It's safe for sensitive skin. I really like it. It smells like coconuts. So let me just try and get this down and see where we're at. Okay, so we're down to like, I guess you could say the halfway mark, possibly. Maybe a little bit less, because it's obviously a little bit thinner at the top than at the bottom. So I guess maybe like this much. So that's how much we have used up. This is good. It's just moisturizing. It's literally just like just like a moisturizer. But the thing is, that's why I don't need it, because I already use face cream. So this is just like an additional moisturizing step that I don't need. I like primers that play more of a function in my makeup routine, like just do a little bit more than just moisturize. But this one is really nice for what it does. So I'm gonna try use that up and see if I can get it down. So I actually use this one with a different primer that has more of a function in my life, which is the Hourglass Veil Mineral Primer. This one kind of blurs my skin a little bit more. So I use these together. Sometimes I just use this, sometimes I just use this, but sometimes I use them together. But my focus right now is this primer right here because it's really old. Not really old, but it's like 2 years, which I probably should have thrown, 12 months. I should have thrown this out. So I'm gonna try and make the most of it in the next, until like the end of the year, and then see if I'm done with it. So the next thing I'm actually trying to use up is essentially for a similar reason. It's the Hourglass Vanish Stick Foundation. I recently did trying a full face of Hourglass makeup, and I already had this foundation because this used to be my absolute favorite foundation. I used to use it all the time. So we're kind of there. I know some people mark it in a notebook, and the story of this one is I used to really love it, and then I bought new foundations and I kind of forgot about these, and I tried different foundations, and then I went back to it because I found it in my drawer. I tried it and I despised it, and then I did the testing Hourglass makeup and I tried it again and I really liked it. But now I realized that it's fine. It's not a foundation that I would repurchase necessarily. My favorite foundation right now is the Pat McGrath Labs Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Foundation. It's very thin. It's a very like skin-like finish, which I really like. It's a medium coverage. You can build it up a little bit to like a medium/high, but like you're never really gonna get to full coverage. And this is full coverage. It's supposed to be like concentrated pigmentation as well. It's something they spoke about where like you don't need to use as much as with a regular foundation. So what I've been doing to use this up is I came up with this the other day because I saw Jaclyn Hill does this where she uses the Pat McGrath foundation and then she dots on a little bit of this one to add coverage in certain areas. And I did it today. And I think my skin looks beautiful. It's like covered, but at the same time it's still dewy and skin-like, whereas this sometimes clings to dry patches, which I didn't even know I have, and sometimes it just kind of like settles into pores. The vibe sometimes is off a little bit, but this one is always perfect. So I put on a thin layer of this, literally just one pump, put it all over my face, and then I go in with this and I pat it into certain areas, and I think that way I can use this up while still enjoying the way my makeup looks, because I don't want to have to force myself to finish off makeup that I look bad in, like that I just don't feel good in, you know? So these are going to be a perfect match, and I'm happy and excited to finish this off. The next thing I'm finishing off is the Kylie concealer. It's not because I don't like it, it's because I really do like it, but it's one of my oldest concealers that I have. I have 3 newer concealers, which are the Pat McGrath Labs concealer, which is the same shade as the Pat McGrath foundation, and I really like this concealer. I actually wish I got it in a slightly lighter shade so I could use it under my eyes as a highlighting shade, but I don't mind this being the same shade as my foundation. I don't do proper like highlighting anymore. And then I have the Glossier Stretch Concealer, which is actually the second pot I have of this because I used the last one up. I've hit like, you know, I've made a slight indentation in that one. I love it for just natural days where I literally just use this wherever I need to, and then I do cream makeup and I call it a day. And then I have the Hourglass Vanish Concealer in Birch, which is really, really light. Like, I wish I got it slightly darker, but I think because it was a site-wide sale, a lot of the shades were gone. So I'm thinking I'm gonna put the Kylie concealer into my project pan because it's a good shade, it's a good consistency, it's very creamy, it's so easy to blend out, and it doesn't dry down completely, but you can, you know, set it down, and it's what I'm wearing today. I think it's got like the perfect amount of coverage. It just sets beautifully under the eyes and it just looks great. It doesn't crease too bad. I really like these. Kylie's got a really like wide shade range with her concealers and they're super creamy if that's something you're looking for. But again, if you're not in America, the customs and duties might not be worth it for just one concealer. Like you'd have to buy a few things to make it worth it. But I'm trying to use this one up, so I'm going to put it into my project pan because it is the oldest. And then after that, I'm thinking I'm going to start mixing the Pat McGrath Labs concealer with the Hourglass concealer because this one is exactly my skin tone and then this one is like way lighter than my skin tone. So I'm gonna mix these up. This one is so much more matte. It actually dries down and at some point it's like difficult to blend out, and this one complete opposite, super creamy, super easy to blend out. So once I'm done with the Kylie concealer, I can just, it's kind of crazy that I'm mixing the Pat McGrath foundation with the Hourglass foundation and I'm doing the same with the concealers, but I just think they complement each other well because this is like more coverage, there's less coverage, you know, matte, creamy. It creates the perfect balance. So I'm going to start mixing these two later on, but that's not in my project pan right now. I also have this one I need to get through, which is the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye Full Coverage Anti-Aging Waterproof Concealer. Now I'm wondering, I think this one is older than this one. In this project pan, I'm putting in the Kylie one and this one, and I'm going to see which one I'm just going to continue working with. But I think this one's older, so I might have to use this one up first. The next thing I'm using up is the Glossier Wilder in the shade G11, G12. We're about there. We're probably like halfway there. I really, really like this. I used it kind of like wherever I put concealers, under my eyes, on my nose, kind of in this like more pore heavy area, chin, like right under here, just where I put concealer, a little bit on my forehead, and then that's it for loose powder, and I think it just works really well for that. And then after I'm done with this one, I have the Fenty loose powder, and I also have the Pat McGrath Labs Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Blurring Under Eye Powder, but I use it everywhere, and it's just translucent. After I'm done with all the loose powders, I might just use up this one. So after that, I'm going to use up the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Skin Perfecting Micro Powder in Fair, which I actually cracked. It fell on the floor and then I tried to repress it, but I didn't do it properly. I just literally pressed it back in there with a little bit of spray, but I should have taken it out, like completely crushed it up, added in the alcohol, mixed it together, and then repressed it, which was a mistake on my part, and now it's really crumbly. As you can see, it's got like little bumps all over it, but I've already essentially hit pan. I hit pan before I cracked it, and then when I repressed it, obviously repressed it more bang in the middle rather than the way it was on the sides. So it seems like I've used up less than I have, but trust me, I'm like getting there with this powder. And it's super softly pressed. Well, now that I've pressed it, it's even softer. So you pick up a lot at a time, so you end up using it pretty quickly. It's expensive, but it's the best pressed powder with coverage that I've ever used. I would compare this kind of a product to the MAC Studio Fix powder, where you can technically use it on its own and it does add coverage. Like this actually adds coverage to the foundation you have on, except this is like miles ahead of the Studio Fix. This looks like skin. It looks beautiful. I basically take this and I put it under my eyes. I haven't used it today because the coverage is fine, but if I need a little more coverage under my eyes, I take on a brush and I put it under my eyes or anywhere I have spots or anything that I need to cover up that my foundation hasn't covered. So yeah, this one I'm putting in here. Let's see how far ahead we are next month. So recently I've bought a lot more like bronzers and a lot more things that I have a lot. Like I bought new bronzers, new blushes. I received some new blushes in PR, but I want to make sure that I can dial down on my collection before I start using new things properly. So I've decided to put the Butter Bronzer in my project pan, which is in the shade Light Bronzer. And it's this one. It's a perfect shade. It's what I'm wearing today. It's a perfect shade for me. I love it. It's super soft. I love these bronzers. They're so good. You can barely see it, but I promise it's there. So I think I should be hitting pan on it soon because I've had it for a while, but then I stopped using it because I bought some new bronzers. But I want to put this into the project pan so I can actually get through it. And the thing about bronzer is it's fun to use and obviously does a lot for your makeup, but I don't think it's something that I need to change up every day. So once I'm done with this one, then I can go on to the new ones that I've bought, but I want to finish this one off. And it's something that just doesn't affect the makeup as much. I also have this really busted Milani blusher. It's one of the baked blushes in Luminoso, which is one of their most famous, well-known blushes that everyone used at some point in time. But my one's just without the packaging because it all started falling apart and then I couldn't fit it anywhere, so I literally just cracked it off. Anyway, this is the blush. It's such a beautiful shade with such a beautiful sheen. Look at that. Oh my god. Am I wearing it today? Yeah, I'm wearing it today. So this is just what it looks like. It goes with every single eye look. I don't think there's a single eye look where I'm like, this doesn't really go. So I like it for that reason. I've used it for so long that at this point, I think I'm about to hit pan. Like I should be hitting pan soon because this is quite concerning. But like it's good value for money because I've had it for ages, but it's such a beautiful shade. This is about how much I have. So I'm like below the line. And if you know about baked blushes, they're always domed at the top. So I've gotten rid of the whole dome. Maybe I'll be able to hit pan on it soon if I just keep on going at it. I'm really trying because I've been using it consistently for a while now. But then I received some new blushes and I tried new things, but I want to just use this up or at least hit pan on it and then move on to different blushes. Unlike blush and bronzer, I adjust my highlighters based on the look I'm wearing. So if it's more pinky, I do more pinky highlights. If it's more golden bronzy, I do more yellowy highlights, so on and so forth. But there is a palette that I want to go at. And that is because I want to make the most of the money I've spent. And it's the Pat McGrath palette. So it's got 3 highlights in there. One of which I can't really use. Or at least I haven't tried on my face. I'll give it a try maybe. But it's this palette. So there's this one which is a yellow gold. There's this one which is a neon pink. This one which is a bronzy shade. This is what they look like. They're pretty new. But I feel like this palette is just so universal that I can just go at it and try and see how much I can use up. I mainly use these 2 shades. So this is the pinky that I use for more pinky eye looks. I'm wearing it today even though I'm wearing brown. I just didn't think it through. Anyway, but on camera you can't really see how pink it is, but in person it's like neon pink. And then this is a yellow gold. It's beautiful. It looks wet. These have 0 texture to them. I have some texture on my forehead still, and I can't use many highlights on my forehead. I usually just use the Hourglass highlights on my forehead regardless of what highlights I'm wearing on my face. But these I can use on my forehead as well. And this one, I think it's too dark for me. So I might just use it on my eyes, just to see if I can use it up. Let me just swatch it quickly. Yeah, I think that is... I mean, look, once I blur it out, yeah, I mean, that could leave a little bit of a cast, but if I really like go light-handed, I think I could use this one. If not, I'll mix these 2 together for a more bronzy, glowy look. I just want to use this palette more because Pat McGrath money, you know, I spent it. I want to make the most of it. Then I want to use my MAC paint pot in soft ochre. I have this since I was like 16. I know it's probably expired, probably definitely expired, but like I didn't, you know, I'm not that concerned about myself. The amount of times where I've mixed it up and put oil in it is incredible, just to soften it. If any of these dry up on you guys, literally just take like a stick, mix it up completely, add like a drop or 2 of like face oil, and then just mix it up. So it's a little bit, you know, busted, but it looks like this. This is about how much I have left. It takes a while to use up eye primers because, you know, you only use a little bit, and you know, if you don't wear eyeshadow every day, then you're not using it every day. I'm trying whenever I wear makeup to use eyeshadow and to use this. So I'm hoping I can get through this soon. So I know YouTubers, whenever they do project pans, they always put in one eyeshadow palette. That doesn't mean they're only exclusively going to use that eyeshadow palette, but it's the eyeshadow palette that they want to get more use out of. And I want to put in the Tati Beauty Textured Neutrals palette because I've been really liking it. For example, this look, everything's done with this palette. I'm gonna tell you guys what I used. I don't know, I remember using this, and then kind of like my thing with the foundations is you get a new palette and you're like, oh, I'm gonna ignore all my other palettes for this new palette. Anyway, but I really enjoyed this one since I received it because I did get it in PR from Tati, which I'm forever grateful for. So I, for this look, used Soothe in the crease. Then I went in with a little bit of Ritual and Story, and then I used Ritual as the eyeliner thingy that I did. I love using eyeshadows for eyeliner because I just think it takes like way less time and you can just fix it up really quickly and you can't really tell. I use Aura always to help with blending because I think it just makes things easier and it makes things a little bit lighter and more blown out. I took the shimmery shade and put it on the lid. That's what I did. And then I took the glitter and put it kind of in the inner third. And then what I do with this palette, which I think is really useful, that you have all the shades in the metallic finish, because when I'm doing like a more neutral look, I'll just use Aura, the metallic shade, in the inner corner and under the brow bone. However, when I want to kind of make it tie into the whole eye look, it's very difficult to explain. So let's say I do an eye look that is purely based around the shade Poet, like it's a very pinky purpley look. I'll mix the Aura metallic shade with a little bit of the Poet shade and it will make Aura more pinky to tie in with the whole pink look. And then let's say I'm doing a look based on Story, right, which is way more orange. sponge. I'll take Aura, mix it with a tiny bit of the Story metallic shade to make it slightly more orangey and goldy, and then that ties in with the whole look, and then put it in the inner corner and under the brow bone. So I like that for every matte shade you get the corresponding metallic shade, because then you can kind of tie in the whole look together. I love this palette. It's everything I need and more. I did a pinky look the other day. I love the glitters. I know if you're like sensitive to glitters, please don't use them on your eye. You can use them somewhere else, but I'm not sensitive to them, and if I am, I pretend I'm not because I love them. So yeah, I'm putting this in the project pan because I want to make the most of this palette because it's so beautiful. So this is where we're at right now. I've definitely made a little bit of a dent in the Poet glitter shade and in the Soothe glitter shade. I think I used up quite a bit of Soothe because I use it in every single look. Whether I'm doing pink, whether I'm doing orange or brown, I'm using Soothe as a transition shade. And also love the mirror. Now I just use this mirror to do my makeup because I can stand it up like this against something and I just do my makeup, and this mirror is such good quality. So I filmed an empties video the other day and I put the Glossier brow flick in there, and then I tried it on camera and it worked. So clearly it's not finished. So I took it out of the empties and put it into my project pan instead because it's on the brink of being used up. Like while I'm doing my eyebrows, it's starting to run out, and then I have to like shake it and try again. But it's still there and I want to use it up hopefully soon because I can, you know, I can feel that it's empty, so I want to really use it up and then throw it out. I gave all of my brow gels to my mum because I've started doing soaped brows. I'm putting this mascara into my project pan. I only ever use one mascara really at a time because why do I need more? It's the Hourglass Caution Extreme Lash Mascara. It's a beautiful mascara. It's like my favorite mascara in the world. It's on par with the Pat McGrath mascara, which I'm going to be using up next after this one. This is what I'm putting into my project pan. However, for more natural days or for my lower lash line, I'm going to put in the Glossier Lash Slick, which is a super natural mascara, but I'm like almost out of it. I think it's like completely dried up. I'm not putting any lip products into the project pan because I do different lips every day and I do them based on what I'm wearing on my eyes, so I'm not going to put any lips into my project pan because I don't really see the point. The only thing I'm putting into my project pan for lips, I guess, is a lip balm, which is the Glossier coconut one, the balm.com. So that's, I guess, my project pan for lips, but that's the only thing that's there because lip gloss, lipstick, lip liner, I change up depending on what I do on my eyes. So yeah. On my priority to use up for setting spray right now is the Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray, which I have in like a tiny bottle. I used up the big bottle. I put in my empties, but then I have a little bit of this one left. I think we're at like a third down. I don't like this because the setting spray is a little bit iffy. It leaves a little bit of dots. I have to always like quickly go over it to make sure that I blend in the dots. But once I'm out of this one, I will not be repurchasing the All Night setting spray because I think there are much better ones for a similar price. So the thing about the All Night setting spray is that I can't use it on its own. I use the All Night setting spray. I let that soak in and dry completely so that it does the whole long wearing part of the setting spray, and then I have to go over it with a dewy setting spray. So when I use a dewy setting spray on its own, I don't have to use a different setting spray, but when I use All Nighter, I have to top it off with a dewy setting spray because that's what I like. So I'm finishing off the Fenty Beauty What It Do Makeup Refreshing Spray, which is officially my #1 favorite setting spray that I've ever tried. The mist on this is beautiful. I've shown it in multiple videos. I'm going to show it again. Wow, I'm more than halfway done with it, so I'm going to use this one up and then go into my 2 other setting sprays that I have. I forgot about this. How did I not write it down? Because I use this every day. So I have the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Ghost palette. That's from the Christmas collection. It just looks like this, where I've explained this before. It's got 2 blushes, 1 bronzer, 1 highlighter, and then 2 finishing powders, which you're supposed to kind of use as finishing powders. And I love them. I love Hourglass finishing powders so much. My favorite powders to ever exist on planet Earth. As you can see, I am heavily down. Look at that. That's all that's left of this one, and then that's all that's left of this one. So once I'm done with this little square, I'll just buy a full size of a powder, one of these. So I want to see how much I can use up by next video. Even though these are all things that are in my project pan, I take this with me when I go anywhere. So this is like my out face palette, because then I don't have to take a separate bronzer, blush, highlight, powder. This is all in one little compact palette. I like this for traveling and just going anywhere. And I think that's it for the project pan. So this is my first installment. Tell me guys what you're using up, what you're excited to finish or hit pan on. In the comments, tell me kind of like, you know, where you're at with your buying of makeup and using of makeup. If you're as crazy as me with spending money on makeup. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below anything you want to comment down below. Subscribe, because I post videos whenever I think of something to do. Hit that bell, you'll be notified when that's happening. Social media links and main channel in description, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.